Welcome back, friends, to my playthrough of Mass Effect 1 Legendary Edition. In the last episode, we finally went toe-to-toe with Matriarch Benezia. She was powerful, she had quite the army helping her out, made out of Geth and Asari commandos, so that was quite the physical challenge for Shepard, Garrus, and Liara. But for Liara, it is also an emotional challenge because, well, the matriarch is her mother, first and foremost, and then Saren controlled her mind so that the matriarch and Liara had to fight like that. And the matriarch was able to wrest back control of her mind for a little bit, and she told us Saren's plan and all that. But in her own words, she said that she'll never be the same person again. And then she flipped back, attacked us, and me and Garrus tried to take care of the situation without involving Liara, but yeah, the matriarch ended up passing away. And other than that, we had a one-of-a-kind interaction with the Rachni. We met the Rachni Queen. She was found inside her egg in a Rachni ship, and Binary Helix was somehow able to bring her back to life. So the Rachni that we had been fighting up to that point were her children. But unfortunately, because the Queen was separated from her children, in her own words, no one taught her children how to sing, which means basically the minds of her children were shattered. And that's why they attacked everything that they see, and the Queen herself asked us to take care of her children, and we fulfilled her request. We even set the Queen free also, and we purged the entire hot labs of Peak 15. So as I understand it, the hot labs, the secure lab, are no more now. And that's what happened in the last episode. Now, before I explain what we're gonna do in this episode, I would like to apologize with the unusual way that the last video's intro was trimmed. I actually wrote what happened down in the description of the last video, but basically it all came down to the fact that I have always had problems with the way OBS remuxed the recordings of this playthrough. So the beginning of the remuxed recordings are always corrupted. I'm not sure why. And in the past, I trimmed this video. I trimmed the recordings with iMovie, and I was able to trim exactly the first few frames that are usually corrupted. But now that iMovie is updated to version like 2.2, 10.2.4 or something, whenever I add the corrupted footage to iMovie, it just crashes. So one workaround that I discovered is to trim the video using some other app. This time I tried to use QuickTime Player, but unlike with iMovie, I need to trim the first few seconds, not just the first few frames. And that is why the intro of the last video is trimmed that way. So yeah, I already adapted a new recording approach starting with this video, so the intro to this video should be like normal now. But still, I would like to apologize for that technical mishap. And if you guys know what I'm supposed to do to solve it, like truly solve it, please let me know down in the comment section below. I would be very grateful for it. And so yeah, that was quite a long intro, and in this episode we're gonna check in with our party members, and actually we're gonna go over the secondary codex entries. So yes, this is episode SC-4 actually, and it's probably gonna be shorter than the other SC episodes, I think, and this is probably gonna be the last SC episode, because I think we've been getting less and less secondary codex entries naturally. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get right back into the game. Oh, that was like 6 minutes of intro. Yeah, so as usual, when we're checking in with our members, we start with Caden here.
Anything you need, Commander?
Let's ask him about his opinion on the last mission.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Killing Saren's, what was Benezi anyway? Second in command? Advisor? Anyway, it should set him back a bit. I'm sure Dr. Tassoni's hurting though. Poor kid. Having to kill her own mom.
Any opinion on the Rachni?
Off the record? If we had the option, I'd as soon have left it to the Council. We weren't out here during the Rachni War. I'm not sure we have any business getting involved.
Now, 2 points, Caden. First, yeah, Garrus and I tried our best not to let Liara shot a single bullet or use a single power on her mother, and I would like to believe we succeeded. Not to... It's still a devastating experience to be sure, but I would like to think we tried our best. And about the Rachni Queen, the option was either to free her or to kill her. We couldn't bring her to the council. That was not an option, unfortunately. But yeah.
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
We're all in for the duration. You can count on everyone to do their duty.
Oh, that one's not updated. Okay then.
We'll talk another time, Lieutenant.
Commander?
I wonder if Caden would say something different if we had brought him on the mission. And I wonder the same thing for Ashley, because as I understand it, for some reason we can only ask opinions on the last mission to Caden and Ashley, not with our other party members.
Commander?
What's your opinion on the last mission?
You mean the Rachni, right? They were dangerous, Skipper. They proved that 2,000 years ago. I think it was a mistake to let them go. But that wasn't my call to make. It was yours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you really should talk to Tassoni about her mom. She has to be hurting.
Yes, we will.
Just saying, Skipper.
I like how Ashley was able to express her opinion, but also know that that was our call to make.
Do you have a few minutes to talk one-on-one?
I should get back to my duty, Skipper. Rifles don't maintain themselves. Not yet, anyway.
Okay.
Dismissed, Chief.
Sir.
Not much updates, huh? In terms of conversation with our party members.
Shit.
Shit. Still don't know what to do about these voice lines being cut at the end like that, guys. And yeah, no updates here either. We already went over all of these options.
Rex?
Okay, let's do that one more time, because that's quite the prevalent meme about Mass Effect.
Shepard.
Rex?
That's more like it. Okay.
Hey,
Tali.
Shepard. You need something?
No.
I should go.
See you later.
No updates for Tali either.
Commander, I wanted to thank you
Oh, is this the same as before?
What for, Garrus?
for everything.
Ah, yeah.
Taking me with you, letting me be part of your team. I've learned a lot. I've thought a lot about what you've told me. About not sacrificing innocence to achieve the goal. About finding the best way through, not just the fastest. And I've been thinking about Dr. Salion too. I'd convinced myself that he deserved to die, but then I started thinking about why I wanted him dead. I realized it wasn't because of what he did to those people. That was part of it, but I think most of it was because he got away from me. He escaped under my watch, and I didn't like that. I let it become personal.
Still nice to hear it though. So yeah, we're just gonna go with this one.
I'm glad you see it that way. Keep that in mind when we meet Saren.
Don't worry, Commander. I will.
Okay, time to talk to Liara now. Oh. This is taking... That took longer than usual for some reason.
If you are here to talk about Benezia's death, you need not bother. She brought it upon herself.
This is unexpected.
Don't pretend it doesn't bother you. She was your mother.
She was. But she was not. I prefer to remember Benezia as she used to be, before she was corrupted by Sovereign's power.
Yeah. At this point, it has been established quite well that the mind control is the power of the ship, the Sovereign, not Saren's, technically. So I wonder if that power can be passed on or something like that to Saren. And yeah, regardless of that fact, the effect is that the mind-controlled people do Saren's bidding, not Sovereign's, so still. I mean, this is still valid, a valid option to say, I think, but we're gonna go with this one.
The best of your mother lives on in you. Her determination, her intelligence, her strength.
That is kind of you to say. I appreciate your concern, but I am fine. Benezia chose her path, just as I have chosen mine. I am with you until the end, Shepard.
Now, will this be updated? I'm not sure.
Do you know why Benezia joined up with Saren?
Benezia was swept up in events beyond her control and lost herself. She fell under the spell of indoctrination and became part of the very thing she wanted to stop. But I will remember and honor how she lived, not how she died. My mother was strong, kind, and beautiful, and now she is gone.
Are you going to be okay?
You are kind to ask, Shepard. I do miss her, and I grieve for what happened to her. But I will not let my grief interfere with what we are trying to accomplish.
Yeah. We all can learn a thing or two from how Liara's taking this situation, I think. Would this one be updated? I don't think so, but...
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species to discover the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes. My people believe we are all part of a single galactic community. Each species contributes something to the greater whole. Although we seek to understand other species, it seems few of them seek to understand us. The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
Yeah, this one didn't get updated, which makes sense, so I'm just gonna go with this one.
I should go.
Goodbye, Shepard.
Okay. So I think the option to talk about Matriarch Benezia is the only updated conversation out of all of our party members, I think, in terms of the investigative dialogue options. Okay, now we are gonna go upstairs. Oh, you know what? Let's talk to Joker too, because he always got new things to say after we finish our missions. Just the opening bit though. The follow-ups are all the same. I'm glad I remembered to do this.
Boy, am I glad to be off of Novaria. I don't know which was worse, the cold or the corporations. One will freeze your balls off, the other will sell them out from under you. With all due respect, Commander.
Okay.
I have to go.
Alright, see you.
You know what? I kind of wonder, Joker must be quite, lonely, huh? There's all these 5 seats, or are they cockpits? And he's always by himself here. I mean, in the very first cutscene, Caden's helping him here. But now, not so much. Though Shepard also comes up there once in a while, but there's all these people, and it'd just be nice to have one more, keeping Joker company up there, I think. Okay, now begins the part where we go over the secondary codex entries. Let's go. And there are only 4 categories to go over, but maybe each of them have quite a lot of entries, new entries, who knows. But yeah, let's begin with this one. Aliens, Council Races. Oh, I think we went over this one. Yeah, I believe so. So let's go with this one. Oh no, I don't think so. Okay. Because see down there, the Salarian Biology entry is apparently a new one. So okay, so we need to read this one later, but we'll start with this one. Okay. Asari have a robust cellular regenerative system. While they do not heal faster than other species, Asari are known to reach 1,000 years of age. Although Asari have one gender, they are not asexual. An Asari provides 2 copies of her own genes to her offspring. The second set is altered in a unique process called melding. During melding, an Asari consciously attunes her nervous system to her partner's, sending and receiving electrical impulses directly through the skin. The partner can be another Asari or an alien of either gender. Effectively, the Asari and her partner briefly became one unified nervous system. This unique means of reproduction is the reason Asari are talented biotics. Their evolved ability to consciously control nerve impulses is very similar to biotic training. Asari believe that their offspring acquire the best qualities of the father from the melded genes, but evidence is anecdotal. Asari pass through 3 climacteric life stages, marked by biochemical and physiological physiological changes. The maiden stage begins at birth and is marked by the drive to explore and experience. Most young Asari are curious and restless. The matron stage of life begins around the age of 350, though it can be triggered earlier if the individual melts frequently. This period is marked by a desire to settle in one area and raise children. The matriarch stage begins around 700 or earlier if the individual melts rarely. Matriarchs become active in their community as sages and counselors, dispensing wisdom from centuries of experience. While each stage of life is marked by strong biological tendencies, individuals do make unexpected life choices. For example, there are maidens who stay close to home rather than explore, matrons who would rather work than build a family, and matriarchs who have no interest in community affairs. I see. So Liara is squarely in the maiden stage, proven by her actual age and what she's doing right now, exploring and experiencing. And I see. Wonder how old Matriarch Benizia is. And yeah. So all Asari are biotics then. I mean, their commandos are well known, but I wonder what runs through the mind of Asari who decided not to be like a soldier or something like that, because biotics are a very powerful talent, you know. I thought like most Asari would naturally choose to be soldiers. Sorry, did you guys hear that? That was my stomach rumbling. Okay, this one. Asari Military Doctrine. The Asari Military resembles a collection of tribal warrior bands with no national structure. Each community organizes its own unit as the locals see fit and elect a leader to command them. Units from populous cities are large and well equipped, while those from farm villages may be only a few women with small arms. There is no uniform. Everyone wears what they like. The Asari military is not an irregular militia, however. Those who serve are full-time professionals. The average Asari huntress is in the maiden stage of her life and has devoted 20 to 30 years to studying the martial arts. Asari choose to be warriors at a young age, and their education from that point is dedicated to sharpening the mind and body for that sole purpose. When they retire, they possess an alarming proficiency for killing. Huntresses fight individually or in pairs, depending on the tactics preferred in their town. One-on-one, a huntress is practically unbeatable, possessing profound tactical insight, a hunter's eye, and a dancer's grace and alacrity. Biotics are common enough that some capability is a requirement to be trained as a huntress. Lack of biotic talent excludes a young Asari from military service. While fluid and mobile, Asari can't stand up in a firestorm the way a Krogen, Turian, or human could. Since their units are small and typically lack heavy armor and support weapons, they are almost incapable of fighting a conventional war, particularly one of a defensive nature. So Asari units typically undertake special operations missions. Like an army of ninja, they are adept at ambush, infiltration, and assassination, demoralizing and defeating their enemies through intense, focused guerrilla strikes. As a popular Turian saying puts it, the Asari are the finest warriors in the galaxy. Fortunately, there are not many of them. Okay, so right away, my understandings of these new secondary codex entries are proven to be wrong already. So not all Asari are biotics, which makes sense. And those that lack biotic talents are excluded from military careers. Okay. And what else? What else? Oh yeah, I find that line quite funny. Like, in the first paragraph there, those from farm villages may be only a few women with small arms. I'm sure arms here means weapons, not like their actual arms are small like T-Rexes. Okay. And then what else? And they mention retirement here. But I wonder, for such a long-living species, at what age do they usually retire? And yeah, also, of course, the explanation about their fighting style is interesting. They are very, very powerful one-on-one, but not so much as like as a group or in the way of withstanding enemy fire or things of that nature. And yeah, they don't use heavy armor, they don't really use support weapons either, so it's interesting that this codex entry like equates, is that the word? Equates them to ninjas. So yeah, apparently, yeah, in Mass Effect the Asari are adept ninjas. Okay, let's move on to the next entry. Salarians Biology. Salarians are noted for their high-speed metabolism, which allows them to function on just 1 hour of sleep a day. Their minds and bodies work faster than most sapient races, making them seem restless or hyperactive. The drawback of this active metabolism is a short lifespan of around 40 human years. The Salarians are amphibian haplodiploid egg layers. Unfertilized eggs produce males and fertilized eggs produce females. Once a year, a Salarian female will lay a clutch of dozens of eggs. Social rules prevent all but a fraction from being fertilized. As a result, 90% of the species is male. Salarians have photographic memories and rarely forget a fact. They also possess a form of psychological imprinting, tending to defer to those they knew in their youth. Salarian Hatching is a solemn ritual in which the clan Delatras, or matriarch, isolates herself with the eggs. The young Salarians psychologically imprint on her and tend to defer to her wishes. During the hatching of daughters, the Delatresses of the mother and father's clans are present at the imprinting. This ensures the offspring have equal loyalty to both, ensuring the desired dynastic and political unity. I see. So Salarians only sleep an hour a day. That gives them like extra 7 hours a day, give or take, compared to humans for their activities. And yeah, I'm trying to calculate their actual quote-unquote lifespan compared to human beings, because generally speaking, sleep takes like a third of human life, right? Generally speaking. A third or a quarter. So them having only 1 hour of sleep, or rather needing 1 hour of sleep. Kind of gives them what, like a quarter to a fifth of their lifespan then, which would be equal to like 48 to 50 human years. So in total it's still a shorter lifespan compared to humans, right? At least I botched my calculation somewhere. And yeah, I should have realized this, but for some reason I didn't catch that they produce eggs. I mean, based on how they look, they kind of look like, I'm not trying to be mean here, but they, in terms of design, I think their designs are inspired by like reptiles, right? So yeah, and 90% of the species of Salarians are male. Didn't know that either. So Counselor Valern, is she a Delatress? Because I get the impression that you would want like someone of such high social standing to take such a position, but I don't know, maybe that's the wrong reading. But yeah, the imprinting is also interesting. They use this approach so that they are loyal to both their parents and the Delatresses. Oh wait, that's not exactly right, I don't think. I think the last paragraph means that only the Delatresses do the imprinting, and then the Delatresses of both the mother and father's clans are present for the imprinting, so that so that Salarians are loyal to both clans, to both of their parents' clans. Now, what happens if the mother and father come from the same clan? Right? They would only be loyal to one clan then, in that case. But yeah, maybe that's not that interesting of a discovery. Either way, let's move on to the next entry. Salarians, Special Tasks Group. Salarian intelligence field agents are grouped into an organization called the Special Tasks Group. STG operators work in independent cells performing dangerous missions such as counter-terrorism, infiltration reconnaissance, assassination, and sabotage. The STG is a proactive organization puncturing worrisome trends before they become movements. At any time, a dozen groups are operating covertly within the lawless Terminus systems, sowing dissent among the various factions. Civilian analysts also note how troublesome hinge point individuals in Terminus frequently meet unexpected deaths. STG operators are feared throughout the galaxy for their clear-eyed, remorseless practicality. They are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their mission, even if it kills civilians or results in the team's own destruction. In many ways, they are akin to the Council Spectres. Recently, a number of STG cells have been redeployed from Salarian Union. It is assumed they are in the Terminus and Attican Traverse, investigating reports of Geth activity beyond the Perseus Veil. Yeah, at this point we've heard about the STG at least a couple of times now. Yeah, they sound really cool. Like this Spec Ops unit. There's always a dozen groups. I wonder how many agents are there in a group. And yeah. And I'm not sure what hinge point individuals mean, but they are troublesome, I guess. So those who dwell in the terminus gets taken care of by the STG most of the time, apparently. And recently they are investigating Geth activity. Good to know. Okay. So we've gone over this one before, right? So yeah. No, I just find it interesting that we got this entry and possibly this entry as well, but we discovered the Turians one earlier. Okay, let's go with this one. Taureans Government. The Taurian government is a hierarchical meritocracy. While it has great potential for misuse, this is tempered by the civic duty and personal responsibility Turians learn in childhood. Turians have 27 citizenship tiers, beginning with civilians, client races and children. The initial period of military service is the second tier. Formal citizenship is conferred at the third tier after boot camp. For client races, citizenship is granted after the individual musters out. Higher-ranked citizens are expected to lead and protect subordinates. Lower-ranked citizens are expected to obey and support superiors. Promotion to another tier of citizenship is based on the personal assessments of one's superiors and co-rankers. Throughout their lives, Turians ascend to higher tiers and are occasionally demoted to lower ones. The stigma associated with demotion lies not on the individual, but on those who promoted him when he wasn't ready for additional responsibility. This curbs the tendency to promote individuals into positions beyond their capabilities. Settling into a role and rank is not considered stagnation. Turians value knowing one's own limitations more than being ambitious. At the top are the Primarchs, who each rule a colonization cluster. The Primarchs vote on matters of national import. They otherwise maintain a hands-off policy, trusting the citizens on each level below them to do their jobs competently. Turians enjoy broad freedoms, so long as one completes his duties and does not prevent others from completing theirs. Nothing is forbidden. For example, there are no laws against recreational drug use, but if someone is unable to complete his duties due to drug use, his superiors step in. Judicial proceedings are interventions. Peers express their concern and try to convince the offender to change. If rehabilitation fails, Turians have no qualms about sentencing dangerous individuals to life at hard labor for the state. I see. Okay, hierarchical meritocracy with 27 tiers. That sounds like a lot, even after the explanation. 27 tiers. But when thinking about it from like a planetary level and all that, maybe it's not that unreasonable. And I find it really interesting how they ascend through the tiers throughout their lives. And the interaction between higher ranked and lower ranked citizens. And the stigma associated with demotion. These are all interesting stuff. And just like the Salarians, I wonder if Councillor Sparatus is a Primarch himself. Maybe not, considering there are many tiers below Primarchs, but I'm sure he's somewhere near the top, right? If he's not a Primarch himself. And I wonder what like Garrus's tier is, and like the other Turians we met. Consular Sparatus, Executor Palin, the head of CSEC, I hope I remembered his name correctly. Yeah, and client races can participate in this tier, in the tiers as well. So that means at least the Volus also have tiers, right? And I wonder the same thing about the Voluses that we met so far. Like Barlavan, where are they in this system? Dr. Han Olar. Okay, moving on to the next entry. Turians Religion. Although Turians have a strict moral code, their belief in individual responsibility means that the concepts of good and evil are simply the individual's choice between egotism and altruism in any given decision. They have no concept of good deities that encourage noble behavior or evil ones that tempt individuals to misdeeds. Turians believe that groups and areas have spirits that transcend the individual. For example, a military unit would be considered to have a literal spirit that embodies the honor and courage it has displayed. A city's spirit reflects the accomplishments and industry of its residents. An ancient tree's spirit reflects the beauty and tranquility of the area it grows within. These spirits are neither good nor evil, nor are they appealed to for intercession. Turians do not believe spirits can affect the world, but spirits can inspire the living. Prayers and rituals allow an individual to converse with a spirit for guidance or inspiration. For example, a Turian who finds his loyalty tested may appeal to the spirit of his unit, hoping to reconnect with the pride and honor of the group. A Turian who wishes to create a work of art may attempt to connect with the spirit of a beautiful location. Turians enjoy absolute freedom of religion and can practice whatever appeals to them so long as it does not impede anyone's ability to perform their duties. There are many practitioners of the Asari CRist philosophy. Since opening dialogue with the Human Systems Alliance, some Turians have embraced Confucianism and Zen Buddhism. Interesting. I think the only other religion entry we went over so far is regarding the Asari, right? And their Asari religion. Okay. So no concept of good or evil deities. And yeah, their concept of spirits is also quite interesting, and they converse with the spirits for guidance and inspiration, not intercession. And yeah, it's interesting that some of the Turians have how should I say, have practiced the religions of other species, because that is one aspect that I would have assumed are very affected by space travel, right? Like the fact that we interact with beings from other planets. Of course they would have like their own, like in this case religion, like the Asari, but I would have assumed that this happens more often across species, right? I wouldn't be surprised to find humans practicing CRE or something like that. And well, in this case, it's quite common for Turians to do so, but I wonder if this also happens with other species. Like, are there Turians? Well, again, for Turians, it's not unusual, not that unusual. But I wonder for, like, as with the human CRE example, are there Asari who practice, I don't know, Islam or Christianity? That would be interesting to see, I guess. Okay, that's about it for that category, apparently. Now we move on to another one: aliens, non-council races. I believe we went over this before, since I would think that we discovered this entry when we first discovered armatures back in Therum quite a while ago. So let's begin with this one. Krogen Biology. The Krogen evolved in a lethal ecology. Over millions of years, the grim struggle to survive larger predators, virulent disease, and resource scarcity on their homeworld Tuchanka turned the lizards into quintessential survivors. Perhaps the most telling indicator of Tuchanka's lethality is the Krogen eyes. Although they are a predator species by any standard definition, their eyes evolved to be wide set, as in earth prey species like deer and cattle. Krogen eyes have a 24-degree arc of vision, better suited for spotting enemies sneaking up on them than for pursuit. Physically, the Krogen are nigh indestructible, with a tough hide impervious to any melee weapon short of a molecular blade. While they feel pain, it does not affect their ability to concentrate. They have multiple functioning examples of all major organs, and can often survive the loss of one or two of any type. Rather than a nervous system, they have an electrically conductive second circulatory system. A Krogen can never be paralyzed. They may lose some of this fluid, but it can be replaced by the body in time. The hump on a Krogen's back stores water and fats that help the Krogen survive lean times. Large humps are a point of pride. Being well fed implies the Krogen is a superior predator. The most widely known biological feature of the Krogen is their incredible birth rate and rapid maturity. Once freed from the hostile cauldron of Tuchanka, the Krogen population swelled into a numberless horde. Only the genophage kept them from outbreeding the combined council races. Now the rare Krogen females capable of bringing a child to term are treated like strategic resources. Warlords will trade them at diplomacy or, more frequently, fight wars over them. Yeah, I'm amazed at how detailed they design the world based on their lore, and probably vice versa. They even explain the Krogen eyes, the way the eyes are designed, the way they are designed to be wide set. I would never notice things like that. Of course, me being not knowledgeable in biology plays a factor into it, but the fact that they thought of this, all of this, when designing the Krogen in this case, is nothing short of amazing, I think. And now we have a better understanding as to why the Krogans are very strong. They are nigh indestructible. They have multiple organs. Multiple, by examples here, I mean multiple copies, right? And they even have a second circulatory system. Of course, they would be natural like tanks and warriors and all that. They even explain the humps. So they share similarities with camels. Camels only store water, I think, not fats. And yeah. Though so far I think we've only seen like Krogans with similarly sized humps, right? Maybe the difference is subtle, but yeah, we have yet to see like a Krogan with especially larger humps than the others. Okay, moving on. Krogen Military Doctrine. Traditional Krogan tactics were built on attritional mass unit warfare. Equipped with cheap rugged gear, troop formations were powerful but inflexible. Command and control was very centralized. Soldiers in the field who saw a target contacted their commanders behind the lines to arrange fire support. Since the Genophage, the Krogan can no longer afford the casualties of the old Horde attacks. The Battle Masters are a match for any 10 soldiers of another species. To a Battle Master, killing is a science. They focus on developing a clean, brute force economy of motion that exploits their brutal strength to incapacitate enemies with a swift, single blow of overwhelming power. This change of focus from mass unit warfare to maximal efficiency has increased employment demand in the fields of security and muscle for hire. Due to the unsavory reputation of the Krogan, most of these jobs are on the far side of the law. Battle Masters are not spit and polish, but they do believe in being well armed and equipped, preferably with a gun for each limb. They are callous and brutal, but methodical and disciplined. They use any means at their disposal to achieve their goals, no matter how reprehensible. Hostage-taking and genocide are acceptable means to ensure a quiet occupation with few Krogan casualties. The Krogan serving with Saren's forces appear to be returning to the old style of mass attritional combat. They also work in close cooperation with supporting Geth units, who fill the roles occupied by combat drones in other armies. Biotics are rare among the Krogan. Those that exist are viewed with suspicion and fear. The Krogan see this aura of fear as a useful quality for an officer and often promote them. Combat drones and other high-tech equipment are likewise in short supply. So they have adapted to the Genophage in more ways than one, even in the way they approach battles. From a very centralized approach to a very efficiency-focused approach. And we have met our share of Battle Masters, I think, throughout this playthrough. And yeah, they are indeed scary. What I didn't expect was the fact that biotics are rare, because I think the Krogans that we've fought so far all have biotics, right? They set up barriers, and much like Rex, actually. They fought much like Rex, I think. And it's interesting that Rex is also a biotic, and he is of quite the position, right? Before he left to Chanka and become a mercenary. And yeah, all of these explanation also ties back to their tendency to become a mercenary, especially recently. Okay. And yeah, perhaps the last interesting point is, yeah, this one. They use any means at their disposal to achieve their goals. So in a parallel universe where we can play a Mass Effect game as a Krogan, they would be like natural renegade players, I think. Okay. Oh, that's it for this category, and we're moving on to the next one. Ships and vehicles. Have we gone over this one? I think we have. Okay, so let's go with this one. Space combat, general tactics. Shells lofted by surface navies crash back to Earth when their acceleration is overwhelmed by gravity and air resistance. In space, a projectile has unlimited range. It will keep moving until it hits something. Practical gunnery range is determined by the velocity of the attacker's ordnance and the maneuverability of the target. Beyond a certain range, a small ship's ability to dodge trumps a larger attacker's projectile speed. The longest ranged combat occurs between dreadnoughts, whose projectiles have the highest velocity but are the least maneuverable. The shortest range combat is between frigates, which have the slowest projectile velocities and highest maneuverability. Opposing dreadnoughts open with a main gun artillery duel at extreme ranges of tens of thousands of kilometers. The fleets close, maintaining evasive lateral motion while keeping their bow guns facing the enemy. Fighters are launched and attempt to close to disruptor torpedo range. Cautious admirals weaken the enemy with ranged fire and fighter strikes before committing to close action. Aggressive commanders advance so cruisers and frigates can engage. At long range, the main guns of cruisers become useful. Friendly interceptors engage enemy fighters until the attackers enter the range of ship-based guardian fire. Dreadnoughts fire from the rear, screened by smaller ships. Commanders must decide whether to commit to a general melee or retreat into FTL. At medium range, ships can use broadside guns. Fleets intermingle, and it becomes difficult to retreat in order. Ships with damaged kinetic barriers are vulnerable to Wolfpack frigate flotillas that speed through the battle space. Only fighters and frigates enter close, knife fight ranges of 10 or fewer kilometers. Fighters lose their disruptor torpedoes, bringing down a ship's kinetic barriers and allowing it to be swarmed by frigates. Guardian lasers become viable weapons, swatting down fighters and boiling away warship armor. Neither dreadnoughts nor cruisers can use their main guns at close range. Laying the bow on a moving target becomes impossible. Superheated thruster exhaust becomes a hazard. Interesting. Very interesting, though quite a lot of it went over my head, if I'm to be honest. But what I find particularly interesting is how every class of starship has its place in a space combat, right? yeah. The range of combat is proportional to the size of the ship. And that is only in turn due to the fact that larger ships have higher speed projectile and lower maneuverability. And yeah, I find it interesting how they describe some of the strategies that are applied in space combat. And I wonder if we'll be able to see some of these strategies and behaviors in a cutscene in the future or something like that. That would be nice for like eagle-eyed viewers, which I don't count myself in on, which I don't count myself to be one. I wonder if like eagle-eyed viewers would be able to figure out, oh, it's the dreadnoughts moving ever so slightly to enter the evasive, I don't know, evasive range or something like that. And that, because I think very generally, based on this explanation, the battlefields would then be like, we have dreadnoughts at the outer edges of the battlefield, and then moving further and further inside we have like the cruisers and then the frigates and then the fighters, right? So, and of course the frigates and the fighters would try their best to maneuver their way to the dreadnoughts, deploy their torpedoes, bring the kinetic barriers of the dreadnoughts down, and then their dreadnoughts shoot the enemy's dreadnoughts and take them down or something like that. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't think, at least at the very beginning, the battlefield should not be that chaotic, right? And we should only see like frigates and fighters moving around the battlefield. Not so much dreadnoughts and cruisers, I don't think. At least I'm misunderstanding or missing some things. But yeah, moving on. Space combat. Planetary assaults. Planetary assaults are complicated if the target is a habitable garden world. The attackers cannot approach the defenders straight on. The Citadel Conventions prohibit the use of large kinetic impactors against habitable worlds. In a straight-on attack, any misses plow into the planet behind the defending fleet. If the defenders position themselves between the attackers and the planet, they can fire at will while the attacker risks hitting the planet. Successful assaults on garden worlds hinge upon up-to-date intelligence. Attackers need to determine where the enemy's defenses are, so they may approach from an angle that allows them to fire with no danger of collateral damage. Note, this is not necessary for hostile worlds. Once control of orbit has been lost, defensive garrisons disperse into the wilderness. An enemy with orbital superiority can bombard surface forces with impunity. The best option for defenders is to hide and collect reconnaissance in anticipation of relief forces. Given the size of a planet, it is impractical to garrison entire conquered worlds. Fortunately, colonization efforts tend to focus on building up a dozen or fewer areas. Ground forces occupy the spaceports, industrial facilities, and major population centers. The wilderness is patrolled by unmanned aerial vehicles and satellite reconnaissance. If a defender unit is spotted, air-mobile rapid deployment units and satellite artillery are used to pin down and destroy them. I see. I haven't considered planetary assaults before. But it would make sense that they have certain laws to protect habitable worlds. And it would be a war crime to ignore it, right? And it makes sense that people can just fire away at hostile worlds, I guess. So I wonder how many treasure maws have been victims of, like, stray bullets from orbit. Yeah. And it's interesting how they draw attention to the fact that colonization efforts tend to focus on building up only a dozen or fewer areas. So far, I don't think we have colonized, like any of the species have colonized a world completely, right? Am I forgetting something here? I don't think so. For example, the humanity, from what I understand, haven't like colonized the whole of Mars or anything like that. Not even the whole of Eden Prime, right? Which is supposedly very habitable. And even in the case of like Therum and Pharaohs and Noveria, I don't think they are fully colonized. Now, this may not be the case with Protheans, right? I think the Prothean Empire comprised of not few of worlds that they have fully colonized, one of which may very well be Pharaohs, what with their ruins covering the whole surface of the planet. So, yeah, I find that fact quite interesting. Okay. Moving on to this entry. Weapons. Disruptor torpedoes. Disruptor torpedoes are powered projectiles with warheads that create random and unstable mass effect fields when triggered. These fields warp space-time in a localized area. The rapid, asymmetrical mass changes cause the target to rip itself apart. In flight, torpedoes use a mass-increasing field, making them too massive for enemy kinetic barriers to repulse. This extra mass gives torpedoes a very sluggish acceleration, making them easy prey for defensive Guardian weapons. So, torpedoes have to be launched at a very close range. Torpedoes are the main anti-ship weapon used by fighters. They are launched from point-blank range in ripple-fire waves reminiscent of the ancient Calliope rocket artillery launchers. God, my pronunciation. Thus, their popular nickname, Callies. By saturating defensive Guardian systems with multiple targets, at least a few will get through. Yeah, we've heard about disruptor torpedoes a few times. Some of the times even during the last codex entry we went over. But I didn't know about the fact that torpedoes use a mass increasing field. That is why they pass through kinetic barriers. But that also makes them very slow, which is why they have to be launched at point blank range. And apparently the common strategy is for fighters to just swarm like a starship and then shoot their torpedoes, hoping that a few will get through and take down the kinetic barriers. Though I wonder how many torpedoes common fighters have got with them. You know? I don't think there will be just one, but then again, I don't know how big these fighters are. So, okay. Moving on to the last category for today, which is technology. I'm very sure we've gone over this one. Oh, there's only one new entry. Okay. Communications methodology. As the population of the galaxy increases and new worlds are settled, timely access for home users and frontier settlements with underdeveloped communication infrastructures is a growing problem. To ameliorate bandwidth issues, a sophisticated array of data caches and virtual intelligence search agent programs are available. When a user submits a query, it is first routed to the data cache on their colony or star system. At the cache, the user's search agent VI collates mountains of locally stored data to find the desired material. If the information is not available locally, the query is passed along to neighboring systems and then outward in an expanding network. VI search agents in those systems replicate the search. If the desired information is found, it is compressed into a burst file and queued for transmission to the source system. The burst is assigned a priority based on the number of queries for it. The greater the number of queries, the higher the priority. When a new solar system is first connected to the net, a selection of the most popular data is installed locally. Though storage hardware is cheap, the capacity required to hold all the data produced every day by trillions of people on hundreds of worlds is not trivial. It's not economical to store local copies of all the data available on obscure topics just in case. As colonies mature, older and less popular chunks of data filter into them as a result of queries and are placed in the local archive. Searches for obscure topics are increasingly likely to produce instant results as the archive grows. They even went so far as to explain how intergalactic Google works. It's crazy. We haven't even directly interact with these systems, I feel like. Of course we've interacted with VIs, with Avena, with Mira, with the I forgot the name. The VI on Pharaohs. I forgot the I forgot the company name. Yeah, we interacted with the VI there too, and I think in such interactions, this lore came into play, right? But then again, it seems like those VIs are interfaced locally most of the time. With the Citadel, with Pharaohs, the company on Pharaohs. I can't believe I forgot the name. And also with the binary helix on Noveria. But yeah, they went into such detail. And it makes it real because it makes the universe more immersive, because for sure technology isn't advancing uniformly across all the species, even with the Citadel and even with the level of interaction that we have. And I'm guessing not even all species have discovered their nearest mass relays and things like that, right? Though such cases are kind of out of scope from this codex entry, I think. But the point is, technology is not advancing uniformly across the galaxy, so they have to consider these things. starting with the array of data caches and VI. And the VI manages how should I say? It collates locally stored data, of course, but also manages how new information is retrieved and how old information is archived, which in turn helps improve the efficiency even more with time. And also, it's interesting that they draw attention to this problem with storage. It is cheap. By 2183, storage hardware is cheap, probably even cheaper than today, but just the scale of data due to the number of people that uses them. We're dealing with trillions of people here. We're only dealing with billions today. And that's even like single-digit billions. What if this is like 3-digit trillions? Which would mean that the scale of users have grown to like orders of like thousands to hundreds of thousands. So probably storage hasn't become cheaper by anywhere near that order of magnitude. So it makes sense that they don't store local copies just in case. Instead, they manage it in the forms of archives, right? Which technically is, but I think they only do this for like popular data, which becomes less popular with time. But yeah, very interesting, especially for players who deal with things like this, like players who work in the IT industry or something like that. But yeah, that would be it for this episode actually. And I think this, as we predicted, this is one of the shortest SC episodes, and to be honest, I'm not sure if we're gonna get new secondary codex entries. But if we do, maybe I won't set up an SC episode for them. Maybe I'll just check them out as we get them, like primary ones. Because originally these SC episodes are supposed to release in between chapters. And I think by finishing Noveria, by finishing our mission on Noveria, I think we properly are in chapter 3 right now with Vermeer and all that, which will be our next mission. And I'm not sure how many chapters more there will be after Vermeer, but it is very likely that we are not gonna see new secondary codex entries regularly, I don't think. So yeah, this may be the last SC episode for Mass Effect 1. We will have SC episodes for Mass Effect 2 and 3 once we get to those playthroughs, I think. And yeah, in the next episode we are gonna do assignments again. We have 4 of them. And I think, oh, Exogeny, that's the name of the company on Pharaohs. Okay. Okay, so we have these 4 assignments. I'm not sure if we can take care of all of them in one episode, but I'll try. This one is in Hades Gamma, which we've been to before, so we only need to explore one system for that one. This one takes place in the Maroon Sea cluster. We haven't been to that cluster. This one takes place in the Armstrong Nebula. We haven't been there either. Oh, and this one is also in the Maroon Sea cluster. I think we're gonna go there next time, in the next episode. So yeah, we're gonna do 1 or 2 episodes regarding assignments, and after that we are actually gonna go to Vermeer. This has to be one of the shortest shortest durations between missions in a while now. Of course, in the beginning of this playthrough it's just missions back to back, but yeah, over time we have quite the length of time in between missions to take care of assignments and such. But this time around we're gonna have like only 1 or 2, I think, which is exciting for me as well. I can't wait to do our next mission. Don't get me wrong, I love the assignments, but I think we are squarely in the last half of this playthrough, right? So I'm interested to see, you know, our investigation, our adventure so far to, you know, hopefully keep being paid off from now on. So yeah, that's about it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching all the way through to the end as usual, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you on the next one. So goodbye for now, and I hope you have the greatest day. See ya!